Namaste and pranam to everyone. Welcome to this webinar, second webinar on sports and yoga and how the rehabilitation can work in this area with the help of yoga and yoga therapy. So we are here yet with another wonderful session that we are going to experience. So I welcome all the panelists as we had a very wonderful session earlier in the last month. So without taking much time, let us start with the invocation, requesting all to join with us. Om Tat Ganeshaya Vidmahe Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tanno Dante Prachodayate Om Om Tat Paramparyaya Vidmahe Jnanalingeshwaraya Dhimahi Tanno Guruh Prachodayate Om Om Yoga Maharshi Dr. Swami Geetananda Giri Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Om Pudvai Kalmamani Pudvai Shakti Yogacharini Ammaji Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani Guru Mata ki Jai. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. So namaste and welcome again, and we are here with another session, as I mentioned, with very wonderful panelists that we have. And as we have come to this time where we have sports blooming like anything in the sports area in different platforms, and yogasana also is getting its recognition in international level. So there is a requirement of rehabilitation, relaxation in different injuries and different kind of situations that the participants or the sports person experience. And yoga therapy as a holistic approach can work in all the dimensions, as we have experienced or understood in the last session, in the preventive, promotive and curative aspect. So today with the discussion on the how we can develop the strength to from the strain to the strength we can develop in yoga and sports recovery. And in sports and yogasana practice, injury is often seen only as a setback, like how we have experienced last session, but how we come back from that injury, that is what matters. And yoga helps in that intention, in that perspective, in that motivation. So here we are today with a wonderful session where we are going to understand and this whole in a very depth with our panelists. And before starting, I would like to introduce our panelists today. And first of all, we have with us our dear Yogathilakam Dr. Dayanidy ji, who is a senior yoga teacher in Geetananda Yoga tradition. He is also a assistant professor. He's serving in Institute of Cell Regenesis and Complementary Medicine as an assistant professor there. And also he is secretary general in the Yogasana sports, Yogasana Siddha Bhumi Yogasana sports in Pondicherry. And he is guiding all the youngsters in developing their career and strength and lot in the field of yoga as a sports. So he's doing multiple things, and he is doing not only in the regional and the state level, but he is trying to help them to the international level as well. So welcome Dr. Dayanidy ji. And we also have with us today Yogachemmal Bhuvaneshwari, who is a yoga therapist, yoga teacher, and she has also a good experience in the field of yoga, and she is doing multiple aspects, and she is working with various aspects of yoga therapy, yoga teaching, and Yogasana sports as well. And she also trying to build her own understanding through her institution, Be Yoga. So she's also giving a very good contribution in the field of Yogasana as a sports, Yogasana as how it can be as a philosophy and as a rehabilitation practices. So welcome Yogachemmal Bhuvaneshwari. And also we have, last but not least, Yogasadhaka Anandraj Bhavanani, who is the director of Geetananda Integrative Therapies Academy. He is also pursuing his bachelor's in sports medicine, which is one of a unique field where he is exploring how the sports medicine the sports as a like in sports different kind of injuries, how it can be managed, and as a background he has a backup of yoga as a therapy, as an education, and as a lifestyle, and through the lineage of Geetananda tradition, where he has the influence of Swami Geetananda Giriji through his teachings, Yogacharya Ammaji, Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani ji, and Yogacharya Dr. Anand Balugi Bhavanani ji. So he has that background and medical background of understanding the sports medicine in a depth. So he is with us today in this panel, and I welcome Yogasadhaka Anandraj Bhavanani ji. And with this very summarized form of the introduction, I will start today's session, and you can follow them in the social media, and they are very active in all those platforms. So without taking much time, I will just try to start this session with the message that Dr. Ananda sir used to give in the monthly awareness program. So I will be sharing his video, and after that we'll start the session that we have today with the question answer that we have prepared for our panelists. So just give me a moment.
Namaste, Vanakkam, Swagatam. Such a pleasure to be with all of you on the occasion of this awareness program being conducted by Geeta, the Geetananda Integrative Therapies Academy. I congratulate our directors, Yogasadhaka Anandraj Bhavanani and Yogasadhaki Sagalakala Valli Divyapriya Bhavanani on these initiatives, and I appreciate the dedicated efforts of our CEO, Yogacharya Nilachal, who is doing his best to take this message to all of you. Geeta is based on the principle that yoga and allied therapies are the way for us as a human being to grow into our holistic potential. Physical, mental, social, emotional, spiritual, and why not also financial health is vital for every human being on this planet. We must make sure that each individual receives those therapies that are appropriate to them in the appropriate way, in the appropriate manner, by the appropriate qualified, competent people. This is why at our Geeta, we are taking forward these awareness programs so that all of you can understand our mission and vision. Why are we taking this forward? To reach each and every human being who is seeking care, and not just ordinary care, but loving care that comes from a noble place in our heart. Awareness is vital for us to grow. We have to be aware of our suffering if we are to transcend it. We must be aware of our problems if we are to solve them. And of course, we must be aware of our potential if we are to grow into it. I wish the successful conduct of all these awareness programs, and I also appreciate deeply all our resource persons who are highly qualified and competent in their own field. And I thank you all for supporting Geeta as we move forward step by step, doing what is possible every day, so that one day when we look back upon it, we will see that we have indeed done the impossible. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, sarve jana sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
So this message of sir is always vital for us, for the reminder and for letting know that why we are here and the core essence of Gitananda Integrative Therapies Academy. So now coming to our sessions, like the question answer and the discussion that we want to make here with the today's topic that we have of how the sports and yoga medicine come into a scenario and how yoga therapy can be helpful. So beyond the game, sports recovery and rehabilitation. So we're not talking about only the sports, but going beyond the game that is actually is there. So yeah. So I will start with Dr. Dayanidy ji with the very basic, with breaking the ice question here. To start with the yogic perspective, from the yogic perspective, how can injury become a teacher rather than only a setback? Since you mentioned it in the last sessions, how different vrittis, with different aspects that we have seen are influencing our mental health, and dealing with them can help us recover from mentally unorganized way to the organized way. So in this, like, please help us to understand from your perspective how injury can become a teacher rather than only a setback.
Yes. So first of all, my heartfelt pranams to Dr. Sir, Dr. Anandraj Bhavanani Sir, Guruji, and Ammaji and Swamiji. Without them, I'm not here. So, and thank you, Nilachal, for giving me this opportunity to share the view. It is so needed question that from a yogic perspective, injury is not seen only as a setback, so but also a teacher. So how these things come? So yoga teachers develop awareness, patience, and compassion towards ourselves. Sometimes when we experience injury or pain, it forces us to slow down and listen to the body and reflect on our habits, emotions, and limitations. In this way, injury can become an opportunity for self study and inner growth rather than merely a physical problem. So whenever we face any injury, we always face that, okay, now everything gone, then we can't able to. For example, when we are eagerly, as I am a secretary for secretary for the SPISA, so we see so many students are continuously practicing, and in some case, if they have affected with any injury or any um, accident, they feel that it's all because of the um, awareness that they don't have. So, but yoga, from the practice, from the aspect of yoga, so yoga teaches in yogic tradition, Yoga Sutra of Patanjali also tells about tapas, self-discipline, swadhyaya, self-study. So, and in different aspects, it often cultivate these qualities. And similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verses 14, it teaches that pleasure and pain are temporary and should be faced with patience and balance. So, we should know that the injury from from the perspective of yoga, that it teaches not everything is permanent. Okay, and there are so many other traditional scriptures like Bible. Also, we have in Bible Romans chapter 5 verses 3 to 4. Paul's the apostle says that suffering produce perseverance. Through perseverance, mindfulness, and acceptance. So when we are ready, when we are see what are the changes happening, when we are aware. So Ammaji always says, Swamiji always says, awareness is the starting goal of yoga. So when we are aware, it can help to shift our understanding on yoga from simply achieving posture to truly understanding the balance between body, mind, and spirit. So thank you, Nilaj.
Thank you, Dayasir, for bringing out that concept of tapas and how you brought out the teachings from the Bible and Bhagavad Gita together to understand this concept. And really, we need to understand it in a more depth to get the clarity of this, and awareness actually help us to get clarity and to find a solution instead of getting into a situation where we are only thinking about the injury, and it helps as a teacher for us. Thank you for that, sir. And now I would like to invite Anandraj here to just give a perspective, like when athlete gets injured, what is the first mistake they usually make? Like it is a denial, a panic, or rushing recovery. What it is? Back, I will ask Anandraj again. We have Bhuvna with us, and I want to go to Bhuvna just to give me an understanding where, like, since you have been in the field of yoga and you have experience practice in both sports science and sports and the yoga philosophy, and you have an experience in that. In recovery, what usually needs attention first, the injured body part, the breath, or the athlete's confidence?
So, namaste to everybody. First of all, I'm thankful for Dr. Ananda sir and also for Nilachal for giving this opportunity. So, to answer your question, whether it is mind, prana, or the injured body part, I would suggest the first thing has to be focused on the prana, where when the person is injured, the pranic energy gets disturbed. His pranamaya kosha gets disturbed, which has to be calmed down. So he has to calm down his breath, which is the first preference, I would say. So healing occurs when you are relaxed, completely relaxed. Your prana is relaxed, which will slow down your thinking process. So the second comes your mind, where you can do things more consciously. Whether you're going to focus on the injury or you're going to focus on the recovery. Both has a different set of mind. So the second thing is your mind, which has to be focused on. And the third, last thing is your injured body part. So when you focus on your prana, you always go into a flow where your mind relaxes and the healing process starts, and automatically your muscles relax and your injured body parts recover on its own. That's it.
Thank you, Bhuvana, for bringing out how prana, mind, and body they are correlated and how to focus on that. I will go back to our dear Anand Raj where we left that question, and we will again try to take that question where the as an athlete, when the athlete get injured, what is the first mistake they usually make? Like denial, like the panic, or they rush to the recovery.
There are various stages that we athletes go through. It's not only athletes, it refers to normal humans also. So when something happens, something that is negative, what happens is we start thinking about it and we start at various stages such as denial, we have anger, and then we do not accept it. So and then we start bargaining because of that. Then after that, we slowly go into acceptance. So it's only the final stage that we go into acceptance. But then it doesn't mean that all these stages occur to everyone. It depends on the person. So if the athlete is someone who has a lot of experience in injury, they might go directly into acceptance. We cannot say. So there are these various stages that we go through, and going into acceptance is good. Like, it will help you start your rehabilitation as soon as possible at the right time, and you can recover faster. But then when it comes into denial can take weeks. So you see that those weeks of time can, delay the process. And then anger. In anger, you don't know. Like, the athlete in anger might, not accept that he or she has got injured, and they can go and train again because they don't want the injury. Like, it's like it has happened, but then they don't want it. It's something like that. And then they question themselves. They start questioning themselves. Instead of starting rehabilitation, they start worrying about it. They're like, why did it happen to me? Why did it happen at this time? Why did it happen now? Something like that. So these are the main features that, delay everything. So these are the mistakes. Like, people start worrying about it instead of looking into what can be done. So instead of going into the phase of rehabilitation, rest and recovery, they like directly go and, they delay the process. And also other factors like people not caring about the injury. So early symptoms of the injury. So for example, if like my shoulders feeling, tight or painful while performing some asana, then I'll have to look into it. It's not like, okay, it's normal pain and you just, go. You have to look into it. So like, you need to look out for early symptoms. People do that. They do not, look into that. So even with early symptoms, this happens not only after injury. Even with early symptoms, people like do not care and go on. And the same when they get injured also, they do not care and they continue their sport. So these are the most common mistakes that athletes do after an injury and all.
Thank you, Anandraj. The acceptance that you have mentioned is very much important, but we understand, and denial can lead to the duration, time, and a lot of things that will delay, and it will not help us to recover. So, thank you for bringing that out. And I will have some follow-up questions also later on, but I will go to Daya sir. I found like his internet is fluctuating, so I will
Yes.
want his
Sorry,
answers.
this is I don't know how this happened.
See, whenever we try to do something very innovative, good, so we find some challenges. So there is one saying I read somewhere: if you are doing something and if you don't get any problem, then you're not doing the right thing. And if you're facing
Right.
problems,
Yes.
then it is the right thing that you are doing. So obstacles comes to test us, check us, and letting you know that you are doing the correct thing. So yeah, it is good. So if you're having internet connections, it is happening good for good only. So coming back to Dr. Dayanidy. So you, from all these three questions that we have got one idea that acceptance, the pranic idea of the body, and also how you mentioned the understanding of injury, like as a teacher, is very much important. So there has to be balance. So how can the principle of the balance or samatvam can guide us in the sports recovery? Please show some light on this.
Yeah. So the principle of Samatvam in Bhagavad Gita is equanimity. So equanimity, um, so it doesn't mean that when we are when we succeed, or in injury when we go and sit back in one place. Okay, so Samatvam, when an athlete face injury, frustration, or slow recovery, okay, Samatvam encourages acceptance without negativity and the patience without losing the motivation. So instead of becoming emotionally disturbed, the athlete learned to observe the situation calmly and focus on healing step by step. So but when we are practicing yogasana and yogic techniques in our day-to-day life, so then it actually gives us the understanding. So when we are when that's why in all the sports we see that they do some breathing practices, they do some meditation. Okay, they actually in modern trend they've defined that yoga and meditation are different. Okay, so they will do yoga and then they do meditation. Okay, so but when we know from the traditional point of view, from the point of yoga, meditation and yoga is not different. Okay, meditation is one part of yoga. So in Western trend, they do that. Yoga is different. Yoga is stretching and meditation is inner focusing. So they move in that aspect, but it is not like that. So when we do yoga in most of the sports, they when there is a athlete or when there is a swimmer, they always do the breathing practices, even they know or without knowing. Once they focus on their breath, they can able to bring samatvam in within us. So once they start doing the practices, start doing the techniques, they can um, knowingly or unknowingly, they start observing themselves, and these samatvam part start growing within them, so that it helps in the sports recovery. If they feel any injury, if they are fell down, if they are feeling anxious, if they are fear. So in all the aspects, the technique of yoga and the aspect of samatvam helps us in their all this way. And the balanced mindset reduces stress, improve mental resilience, and support better recovery outcomes. So the samatvam helps athlete recover not only physically but also emotionally and spiritually. Yeah.
Thank you
So
there, sir. Thank you for elaborating the concept of balance, equanimity, and samatvam. And here I would like to ask Anandraj regarding how can athletes distinguish between normal training discomfort and a real warning sign? How can we understand that this is discomfort and this is something we have to take seriously? Yeah.
So for this will need kind of really looking into like screening and stuff. So when it's like normal discomfort, training discomfort, it's called like delayed onset of memory soreness usually. That's what happens usually. So what happens is your muscles like ache because they've been used and the fibers are torn, and because of that you'll get pain in certain areas and stuff. So mostly those kind of pains would go on, like they will start after like about 20 to 24 hours they'll start, and then they'll go on, and they'll only settle down like after like 48 to 72 hours. So it's basically like the third day that you get relief. So the first day after you do exercise or training anything, you will get the pain after a day, and then it will stay on for like 1.5 days, and then the third day it's gone. So that's the usual thing. So if whenever your acute pain turns into chronic, which is after like a week, if it's prolonged for a week or so, then it is a matter to be considered, because pain doesn't usually, I mean, training pain, whichever doesn't really stay for a week or so. But then when it comes to joints, so now when we come to joints, that is the risky part, because there are sports that can, lead to joint pain. There are many sports which can be due to, let's say, microfractures or increased tension on the joints. It could be because, there are athletes who train 6 hours a day. They have like sessions in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. 2 2 hours they split up and they do train. Or there are athletes who like train the whole day. It's like their job, basically their job, but then they follow the passion. So it's something that can occur. Joint pain can occur easily, but then it is advised that joint pain should not, you know, it should not be there. So it's better to visit the physio or whoever whoever is taking care of you. It's better to, like, joint pain should never be you know not neglected or anything. You should look into it. Muscle pain is common. It is common. It occurs, and you can also, like, prevent the intensity of the muscle pain by, there's like foam rolling that athletes do, and then there is warm up and cool down, proper stretching, all these techniques. And also, like, people for recovery, for the muscle recovery, they do like ice baths and stuff. So those kind of techniques, if you follow them proper, if you're a proper athlete, proper sportsman, then you'll have to follow these proper steps, like not skipping any. Like if you skip warm up and you're gonna exercise, for sure you're gonna have pain, for sure. There's no doubt. So your body should be warmed up before you exercise. It cannot just function like that. It should be prepared for what you're gonna do. So this is what prevents injury also. So if you follow these steps properly, you can prevent any, pain. I mean, the intensity of the pain, not pain. Pain for sure you'll get, but then you can prevent the intensity, and that's how you differentiate it. Like, you cannot suddenly figure out this is training pain and this is like pain from any injury. But then after screening, you can find out what kind of injury. And then, like, if it goes into the chronic stages, acute stages, you're gonna catch it after 3 days. Like, on the third day, you can realize what kind of pain it is, because intensity also varies. So when it goes into the chronic stages, you can easily understand that something's wrong, and you have to check it up with your doctor's office or your physio or anyone.
Thank you, Anandraj, and thank you for distinguishing the acute pain and the chronic pain and how we should take care of that. And I will have some follow-up questions at the end related to this as well. And I will go to Bhuvaneshwari. Uh, so, how uh, do you help an athlete who is physically healed but afraid to perform again? So, what suggestions would you like to give to such a sports person or care seeker?
So, a person might be healed physically. The first thing is he has to heal from mentally also. From all aspects, he has to be healed out. To support him, the athlete, the first support must be given from his coach, where he to build up his confidence level, so that he is not going to be injured again. The proper guidance, proper assistance must be given from the coach. The second thing is from his family and friends support, because the athlete would have definitely lose this confidence, and also his ego will be too high, like losing his sort of thing, how to say, நம்ம ஜெயிக்க மாட்டோமா திரும்பவும் அந்த ஒரு, he'll get that sort of fear in his mind, which will make him to pull him back from being a successful performer again on the stage. So that has to be created both from the coach as well as from the family circle also, and he has to build it on his own. As Dayasa said, meditation is one of the best practice where he can build this sort of thing. When he is completely involved into the meditation process, he can take up good sankalpa, where he can rebuild his own body, recover from all his traumas. And the next thing is, when he goes into the next performance, before entering into the next competition, he has to observe the fear instead of being involved into the fear. He has to keep it outside of him and just observe how the process has happened when he was performing, how this injury has occurred. He has to mentally process this before he enters into the next stage. So he has to observe carefully how the fear has taken. Then he can undergo some practices like pranayama practices like Nadi Shodhana. Brahmari can help him a lot, and Kaya Kriya will help him to recover his body muscles, everything to come out of his trauma. Physically healed. That's all I would like to sum up.
Thank you, Bhuvaneshwari, and thank you for bringing out some practices of this tradition which are very unique. And I want to let the audience to know that in this tradition, in this Rishi culture, Ashtanga, Gitananda tradition, we have more than 120 pranayam practices, jatis, a lot of relaxation, and a lot of practices which is not bound to a person specific or condition specific, but it helps in a lot of relaxation, which can be helpful in rehabilitation and process. As Bhuvaneshwari mentioned, that the Kaya Kriya it is one of the very helpful practices. So these are there, and we will be sharing some of the practices in our website and the YouTube channel. But yeah, so these are the practices that we have. And before going to the next question, from Dr. Dayanidy sir, I would like to invite here Yogacharya Bharatji to share his insight or understanding of yoga therapy and the sports science in some words. So over to you, Bharatji, just to give some light on that.
Thank you, Neelachalji. Thank you, everyone. The topic of samatvam and calm observation in recovery has been highlighted very, very well. I wanted to expand that a little bit and offer the perspective that for many athletes, many of the best athletes, many of the strongest performers in whatever their field of activity are people that have developed wonderful and clear strength of focus and calmness. We see that, I think, in some of the athletic stars in various arenas, various sports functions. And so it was highlighted as a curative factor in healing from injury, and certainly that's true. But proactively as a preventative in helping to prevent injury, to have that calm focus, to have that clarity for when and how to make the best move, when and how to accelerate or decelerate. So that's one point I thought I wanted to emphasize that expands upon what has been said. The other point that I've come to understand it has to do with the warm-up exercises, the warm-up practices in order prior to pushing our bodies to a higher limit of muscular and skeletal activity and it stresses on heart rate and breathing capacity. The warm-up in most sports, as I understand it, the warm-up is a prerequisite that's intentionally done for two reasons. One is to help prevent injuries. Tight muscles are more prone to injury than relaxed muscles. And secondly, the warm-ups can help to reduce the stress of a sudden change from static, stationary to the accelerated force that's needed in different competitions, or in different, in addition to competition, competitive practices, pushing ourselves during our routine, during our exercise sessions. It's so important to build up gradually, as well as it is to cool down gradually for various physiological reasons. I'm not sure if I addressed the question you asked, Neelachal, but those were thoughts that I came to mind in this wonderful dialogue so far.
Thank you for sharing these words of wisdom, Bhartaji, and it really means a lot, and your presence really matters a lot, and thank you for being here. And with these words of wisdom, I'd like to ask Dr. Dayanidy ji the role of Viveka or discrimination wisdom in preventive and injury. So over to this.
Yes. Thank you, Neelachal, for this question. Because Viveka, according to yogic concept, so it is most important one, the ability to clearly distinguish between what is beneficial and what is harmful. So in the context of sports and yogasana practices, Viveka helps athlete to make conscious, balanced, and self-decision during training and competition. So very often injuries do not happen suddenly. Very often, the body usually gives warning signs such as a fatigue, tiredness, pain, and altered breathing, reduced stability, or poor coordination, or mental exhaustion. So, however, due to pressure and compression or ego, athlete may ignore these signals and continue training excessively. This is where Viveka becomes important. So some of the physiological perceptions like Viveka improves body awareness and self-regulation. So athletes begin to understand the difference between the productive discomfort associated with growth and harmful pain associated with tissue damage or overtraining. So they become more aware of biomechanics, posture, and recovery needs, muscular imbalance, and energy levels. So these are the things athletes has to be aware. So by being aware, so they can able to reduce their injury part. And some of the scientific evidence in sport medicine shows that many injuries are linked to overtraining syndrome, neuromuscular fatigue, poor recovery, and lack of awareness. So Anandraj also accept this, I think, because he also said that if there is a pain starts, then immediately one has to see the doctor. So when he was aware, he can able to feel that pain when it starts or not. So when the Viveka is not there, then it will become difficult. And research also suggests that athlete with better introspective awareness, so that means awareness of internal bodily sensation, it reduces the injury risk. For example, recognizing the muscular fatigue early can prevent strain injuries. Understanding joint ligament can reduce ligament stress, and representing a recovery time and respecting the recovery time can prevent chronic inflammations and overuse injuries. So thus Viveka allows athlete to train intelligently rather than excessively. From the psychological perspective, Viveka play an equally important role. So competitive environment often create emotional pressure, fear or failure, ego-driven behavior. So athlete may feel the need of constantly prove themselves. So leading to impulsive decision and neglect of physical limits. So Viveka helps develop emotional regulation and balanced judgment. Instead of reacting emotionally, athletes learn to respond consciously. So the react and respond. This is one of the major aspect of yoga. So he will not react to situation. He can respond to the situation. They become capable of asking, is this training helping my growth or harming my body? Am I practicing with awareness or with ego? Do I need effect right now or recovery? So modern sports psychology support this concept. Research on mindfulness and self-regulation shows that athletes with greater psychological awareness demonstrate improved focus, better decision making, reduced burnout, and healthier coping mechanism during stress. So Yoga Sutra of Patanjali also explains that ignorance or lack of awareness become the cause of suffering. So while right understanding reduce suffering. So in this sense, Viveka acts as a protective mechanism that integrates both physiologically and psychologically. So in both physiologically intelligence and psychologically maturity. So therefore, Viveka is not simply uh, intellectually knowledge. It is a practical wisdom that helps athlete balance effort with recovery, ambition with awareness, and performance with long-term well-being. It transforms training from a mechanical activity into a mindfulness and sustainable practice. So thank you, Nilachal.
Thank you for sharing this, Dayanidy sir. How awareness is important, and this Viveka has to be developed in each athlete in practice, and how this can help them to prevent injuries, and the reaction and response thing can develop from the reaction to immediate situation to the response to the long term effect in the present moment. That is very much important. So when we have this awareness, I just want to know from our other panelists here. So first with the Anandraj, like why do athletes often rush to rush often to back before the body when the body is not ready? Like why do athletes often have the situation to get back directly into their physical activities rather than getting recovered? So can you throw some light, and can you also suggest some practices also in that situation that can be helpful and help them to recover and gain more awareness?
So, as I said in the last session we had last month, this is kind of an athlete syndrome. So you see, athletes when we get injured, we tend to not care. It's it's something like we like to do the sport, we like to play, and we go for it. It's this major problem. Everyone, all the young athletes, you can ask anyone, they would say the same. They would just want to do their sport no matter what. So this is the thing that clicks in. As I said, we do not care about it, and then when we get injured we go into denial, and all that anger, frustration, depression, all those things kick in. So it's something like that happens. Even for small injuries, we're like, it will go in 2 days, let's go play. So this is kind of an athlete syndrome. It's a big major issue here. So athletes should understand that they need, rest and recovery is very important in accordance to their training intensity. So Also, as you see, we have had the topic of overtraining coming in. So when we overtrain, what happens is the body tends to really overuse basically. So when you're overusing your body muscles and bones, I mean the joints that you use for your athletic movements, what happens is you tend to get injured. It's very common. So proper rest should be implemented. Proper rest. So if you're having a training session, you must go rest for that day's night. Instead, what athletes do, they go for outings and stuff or something like that, and what happens, the rest is not fulfilled. So rest doesn't mean that sleeping anytime, but then rest is the proper timings when the body is ready to recover, and that's basically the night's time, and that's why humans are supposed to sleep at night. And then recovery also, like athletes, what they do after their training sessions, they do not cool down properly. They just walk away or just sit. They just sit around. They do not do anything. They do not stretch their muscles or relax them. They do not there's a whole thing called foam rolling. There's a whole thing called cryotherapy, especially for combat sports, because you'll be having all these bulges, like internal damages, which you need to give icing for them. It's not something to be not looked after. So all these techniques can you know prevent, and also these are the proper ways. And all these, if you're going to follow all these, you need patience, which athletes do not have. That is the major issue. We athletes just want to play, we just want to enjoy our sport and move on. We do not want to follow the whole process, because when you have discipline and consistency, both of them, they're a dangerous duo. And if you have both of them, you're gonna go places. But then if you're gonna follow both of them, you will need that courage to follow it. It's very hard to have discipline and consistency. Even having consistency for a whole year can bring in change, instead of like training once a week heavily. Like normal consistency, very low training intensity can develop in a large scale than training really high. So like these, just like these, you can prevent, and also properly follow your sport, prevent injury, and have your sport also. But then athletes would not do that. That's the problem.
Yeah, that is very bitter truth. And there is a thing that comes up with this answer, that there is a lack of self-control somewhere. So Sanyam is very much important, and if that can be developed in a way or the other, the athlete can understand, the sport person can understand their actual scenario, and then take a situation or time for their proper recovery, and that actually can help them to perform better in the upcoming tournaments, competition, or sports activities. So to understand what practices can be helpful, or what grounding practices are useful immediately in different injuries like the strain, fear, or a fall, something like that, I would like to ask Bhuvaneshwari, can you suggest some practices which are helpful, and in Geetananda tradition, what practices can be more helpful in such situations of strain, fear, or any fall like that?
Yes. Before getting into the practices, after hearing from Anandraj, it is very serious that participants or performers are not taking even a few seconds of breathing practices also, even after their performance. Once the athlete performance is over, once either they are ready to take photo shoots or they want to watch their video again, and after that they go for the scorings and they go for the next part of performance or the next competition. That's all. it is happening in each and every competition. I would like to suggest there is something which is made very strict and serious, like once the performer is coming out of the stage, he has to either sit idle for some time and go for a deep breathing practice, and then he has to come out of the stage. Either some place for each athlete till the other athlete is performing. I would like to suggest this as a mandatory thing so that we are more keen into their relaxation. Even if the athlete is not aware of it, we can produce that space for each and every athlete. Either he can sit down quietly in any comfortable posture and just go for a deep diaphragmatic breathing, putting his hand on his abdomen can help him a lot. Because once the athlete loses any of his asanas in a performance, holding time is lost, the first thing he does is, either the athlete cries or the thing is his energy is completely gets scattered at that point of time. So I don't say that he has to control everything and he has to perform. It is like he has to manage it. That is more important. That manageability will come only when he is into the grounding practices. Otherwise, his energy will definitely be scattered out when he loses a competition or he loses even a single asana. It will get bursted out and he loses out the competition. I would like to suggest some instant relaxation technique or deep relaxation technique, or you can also perform like Marmanastanam Kriya, which can be included in all of his practices. Each and every day after his intense training, he can lie down in Shavasana and he can perform Marmanastanam Kriya or just Brahmari Pranayama will work him out to calm down his anxiety, his nervous system. And just Om chanting will also work out when we are closing the session. Just some 12 rounds of Om chanting will make him to calm down his mind. And that's all. I would like to suggest Daya sir for taking this into some step into our district and state level competition, at least in state level competition where the participants are getting some kind of relaxation separately, so that we are also aware of our sports athlete, so that we are in charge of them to take care of them. That's all.
Thank you, Bhuvaneshwari, and it is very much important. Like what you mentioned is very true, and the practices are also very important. And with these practices, as you mentioned, Marmasthanam Kriya, Brahmari Pranayam, there are a lot of other practices are there. So I'd like to ask Dr. Dayanidy ji to mention a few more in this practices, and how can athlete can develop these awareness during daily training, how these practices can be helpful, and what can be the other practices maybe that will be helpful to develop these kind of awareness during practical training or during training sessions. Yeah, now you are unmute this.
1 second. 1 second.
And in between, if anybody have any questions, I think Anandraj has answered a few questions in the chat box. If anybody has any questions, they can type in the chat box. Yes, Dr.
So, actually, how the athletes develop awareness during daily training. It's normally when we start giving some practices or training to the athletes, to the players. So normally all the practices, all the training, they start with the warm-up practice. So whenever the player want to do any practice, any sports activity, any performance, they should be aware of their body movements and they are aware of their conscious muscle movements, all those things. So when they are doing any practice, they have to be aware of their body. So when the word awareness comes, and it always gives me the uh, definitions given by Ammaji and Swamiji. So awareness, yoga brings awareness of body, awareness of mind, awareness of emotions, and awareness of how aware we are. So this is the definition given by Swamiji, and Ammaji states awareness of how unaware we are also. So when the awareness, the term awareness comes into yoga, that is the most important concept according to yoga. So when we are kids, when we do some practices, when you are going for the training with Ammaji or Dr. Sir takes the class, actually, recently we have the camp in a 3-day residential camp happened at uh, the ICOER, International Center for Yoga Education Research, so in Pondi. So when we are kids, when we go into the camp, Ammaji always have some games for the awareness activity, like the awareness activity. When we go for beach, when we do some activity. So by the end of the day or end of the session in the validatory function, we have a separate round called awareness round. So when Ammaji asks questions in some of the, for example, when we are in beach practice, so then Ammaji asks that how many palm trees are there, how many ships are, how many boats are there in the beach. So and how many, when we are doing shavasana, there are few birds flying above our head. How many birds? What are the birds? So there are some questions asked like that, and this by inculcating the uh, awareness part, how we are aware, how we have to be aware by doing yoga, or when we are in a day-to-day activities, how we have to be aware. So this type of activities, this type of techniques taught to us when we are doing the yogasana practices. And what are the, because yoga, while doing yoga, the awareness is part and parcel of yoga. So without awareness, we can't able to do any yoga practices. Okay. So when we start doing yoga itself, the awareness comes into our back of our mind. Okay. So even when we are doing a simple Sukha Pranayama, so it brings the awareness. So what awareness gives? So awareness improves the neuromuscular coordination, balance, breathing efficiency, improves the reaction time and motor control. Okay, so by doing these things, by doing yogic practices, so as you ask, what are the practices we can do? By doing a simple breathing, for example, 6 in, 6 out, Sukha Pranayama or Dirgha Pranayama. So by doing any breathing practices, the awareness we are getting better than what we are in that stage. And the other practices like Marmanasthana Kriya. So when we are relaxed, when we are focused, part by part relaxation, so it always helps us to increase our focus, increase our awareness, so that we can able to do any sports activity with full of awareness, with full of energy. So whatever we are doing, for example, a swimmer doing a rhythmic breathing develop better endurance and concentration. And if there is a yogasana athlete using a breath awareness during balance posture, it improves their stability and coordination. Okay, so whenever doing any uh, practice with awareness, so he has to be aware of doing any practice. And yoga, while we are doing yoga, without knowing that we are aware, we are slowly increase the awareness part in our body and in our mind. So we can able to do any technique. In our day-to-day activity, if we are doing any practices, we will be aware. There is one more example that when we are doing yogasana practices, we know that we need to be like, when we lift your hands, we need to be coordinated with our breathing. When you lift down your hands, we need to be coordinated with our breathing. So when we are coordinate our day-to-day activity with our breathing, then we are so aware of whatever activity we are doing in our day-to-day life. So the basic concept is, whenever we are focused on our breath, when we do any practice, then the awareness become part and parcel of it, and we can able to do miracles. Thank you.
Thank you there, sir, and I will come for some last questions to you. And before that, I would like to ask Anandraj here with the difference between rest and recovery in sports science. Can you elaborate on that, please?
So, as I said, rest is something that we need to take at proper timings. So, especially when the body is like, resting and coming back, like, for example, like at night you're sleeping, that's when your body like regenerates basically. So you're, calming down and healing. That kind of thing is the rest that you need. So it's not something that after practice you go and take a power nap or something. That's not rest. Rest only comes when the body is healing itself, and that has specific timings. But then recovery is something that you do in order to basically, like, cool down your body from all that intensity. As I said, so all these icing and then even swimming even comes under recovery. So all this will, help the muscles to, calm down because they have been used a lot. So when, you're basically using your muscles and they're torn and then you get pain and stuff. So when you perform your let's say swimming, or you ice your muscles wherever you have like swellings and stuff, you do icing for the places and stuff, that helps you in the recovery part. So foam rolling also, it relaxes the muscles that have been used. Some people use it for warm up also, but then mostly it's used for cool down, as it relaxes the muscles. You're basically relaxing the muscles so that it reduces the pain. But when you don't do cool down or something, your muscles have been used and they're basically like, because they've been used, they're like constricted and stuff. So what happens is that leads to immense pain and stuff. The intensity raises. So when you swim and stuff, that relaxes the muscles and that can reduce, as I said, the delayed onset of muscle soreness. So what happens, the soreness is reduced. Even though it will be for a day, the intensity of the pain would be less. So that is the difference. Recovery is something you initiate and you help it happen. It cannot happen on its own. But then rest is just you relaxing and the body taking over and healing itself.
Yeah, thank you, Anuraj, for that question. And with that related aspect in the recovery, I would like to ask Bhuvna to summarize the practice or the role of Shavasana in sports rehabilitation.
Okay. Shavasana is not about just sleeping and just relaxing for some time, taking a short nap. It's like a guided bodily relaxation. The goal is not to sleep, but to be relaxed in an full of awareness, observing your body. So it's like when you're breathing in and out, and you're focusing with your mind, with all your body parts, you will be healing even faster than usual. So when you're focusing more, you meditate more on your body parts and your mind becomes still, and you get rid of all the energy blockages if there are any. And you can also take up some sankalpas at this point of time when you are deeply into focused in your shavasana, like my body is healing, not just pouring oil to your ego like I have to win, I have to overcome this, I have to achieve this, I have to win a medal. Not that sort of sankalpa, but like healing attitude sort of thing. Confidence, increasing their confidence level, sankalpas can be suggested. And this will help them to increase their awareness in their subconscious memory. So when even if an athlete is doing some sort of mistake, for example, if an athlete is losing a step in an artistic competition, if he misses a beat and skips a step, he'll be aware how he can be able to manage. ஸ்டேஜ்ல எப்படி மேனேஜ் பண்றோன்ற அவேர்னஸ் எப்போ கிடைக்கும்னா ஒன்லி வென் யூ ஆர் ரிலாக்ஸிங் ப்ராப்பர்லி அண்ட் யூ ஆர் aware of what you are doing. So deep relaxation is a must for a participant to make him perform well on the stage. That's
Thank you, Bhuvna. Now we come to the last section here, and with this to be, we will need like in 1 minute just give the explanation and suggestion for that. We'll start with Dr. Dayanidy ji. So please, we have a lot of confusion in modern context about the yoga, the terms like the yoga, meditation, yoga, pranayam and all. Can you just throw some light on yoga and meditation terms? Are they different or are they same? What it is exactly and how to look into these terms? Dayanidy sir.
So yoga and meditation in Indian context, it is same. So it is not yoga and meditation. It's meditation is part of yoga, and when we do yoga with a single-minded and focus, then it becomes a meditation. Okay. So when according to Ashtanga Yoga, there are 8 limbs of yoga. So it is not 8 parts of yoga. All are included. So when we do one by one, all are necessary. All are parts of yoga. And it is not different. Meditation is not a different limb. It is one of the limb of yoga, and that helps us to move inward and helps us to realize what we are, where we are, and how we are. So once the person realize the thing, then there is no difference between anyone. The oneness comes.
Thank you, Dayanidy sir. Anandraj, I would like to ask you in 1 minute this, if you can explain. In sports and every activity, the sports person or the athlete always have some rage, some anger, and in that scenario, how to utilize that rage, anger, or frustration in a productive way? Can you suggest something? Can you unmute?
My network is off. I didn't get your question.
I asked, like in sports, in different sport activities, athletes have some kind of frustration, rage, anger, and These, if not utilized properly, can deviate them or lose their energy, competition, and they can get demotivated easily. So, what suggestion you would like to give, or what should one do in a productive way when the sports person has these kind of emotions in the sports activities?
Well, these kind of, as you say, anger and frustration can occur, and these, if they are, directly used as anger in the wrong way, can lead to many, you know, negative possibilities. So in anger, you never know. The athlete can injure himself, can injure other athletes, can go beyond what we imagine, and it can be really destructive. But this comes into aggression, and aggression used in the right way can lead to the athlete succeeding, actually. So here's where the psychological part comes in. So how the person takes out his or her aggression. So if they take the aggression out in a way and play the game in the bite of the rules, then they can, if it's like a scoring sport, they can score more, they can, they can win the game. If it's like basically all sports have scoring, but what I'm saying is you can use that aggression to follow the rules and score points to win. So that way they should know how to channelize their anger into aggression. They call this instrumental aggression. So what it does is you're following the rules, you're not hurting anyone, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just going by the rules, but then your play is with aggression. You're like really harsh, really, like, bombing, or that kind of energy, but then you're following the rules and you're winning. So let's take it in yogasana itself. In yogasana, that aggression can lead the person to, they should focus more and maybe hold the posture in a better way, showing, exhibiting their talent. There's more stretch, or the perfect posture. So the rules are to have the posture as it is on paper, no extra, no less. It should be the exact pose. So like that, they can do the exact pose, focus more, use that aggression. Okay, last time I lost, this time I'm not gonna. Last round I was 2 points down. This round I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna win it. So this kind of anger, when they are angry that they lost, they can use this into instrumental aggression, and they can play their game and perform better, exhibit and follow the rules. And this is how they should know how to channelize it. They should use the anger to channelize and succeed.
Thank you for that beautiful answer, Anandraj. And last but not least, Bhuvaneshwari, I would like to ask you in just 1 minute if you can elaborate, or you can just say something about why anyone should practice Gita Nanda Yoga tradition practices, or how they are helpful in the rehabilitation in sports injuries. You have to unmute, Bhuvaneshwari.
Yes. As I said earlier, some of the practices that I suggested we have in Gitananda tradition are very useful for not just yogic yoga competitions, but also for all the competitions where even take it as any sports, uh, people performing are techniques like Kaya Kriya, Marmanastanam Kriya, Vyagraga Pranayama, Brahmari. Is like these practices are not only for yogic competitions and yoga competitive persons. It is for every competition where you can use it to calm down their nervous system, to make them more focused and relax their body, mind, and coordinate their body and mind together. This which is not there in other traditions. These things are like so precious that we got it and we are aware of it. And I want these practices to be followed by all sports athletes to make use of it and feel how good it is for them to practice. So,
Thank you, Bhuvaneshwari. These practices are alive, and when someone does these practices actually become a part, and that does magic in a way. So, yeah, these practices are very helpful and help in many aspects. So, yeah, so coming to the last phase, we would like to have some words from our dear Rishiputra Bali, Dr. Anandaji, and to help us guide some words of wisdom, some words of guidance, some words of blessings. So, Dr. Ananda sir. I think there is some network issues, maybe.
Just a minute. He's on his way.
Okay. And in between, if anybody in the audience have any question, anything they want to ask, they can type in the chat box. And if you're watching it in YouTube, you can type in the comment section, and we'll try our best to answer them. And try to follow Geeta in Instagram, Facebook, and whatever social media we have. You can get updates in these platforms, and try to follow our different awareness programs through different platforms. And we will be organizing these kind of awareness programs every month. And tomorrow, as we have another awareness program session of music therapy, so inviting you all for that session as well. And these awareness programs are very helpful, as in the beginning of the session we had the message of our dear Dr. Ananda sir, that these awareness programs are very helpful, as these concepts are not been discussed openly, and in this tradition, as we have a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and senior teachers, we can help us with these awareness programs. And we have our dear Dr. Ananda sir, Rishiputra Bali, Dr. Ananda ji here to give some suggestions, blessings, advices, words of wisdom. Over to you, sir.
Namaste, everyone. Pleasure to be with you. So, I've been enjoying the whole session. So, is there a lot of echo?
There is echo, but it's okay, sir. I think
Fine, okay. No, because we're using this. So I just wanted to wish all of you the best for the session. And thank you for all the amazing information shared today. I enjoyed listening to it. And there's so much to understand on this topic. But the key elements are when there's spanda, which is excitation, activation, effort, it has to be balanced by nishpanda, relaxation, deactivation, cooling down. Just going for one extreme will burn us out. Hence, whenever we work, we need relaxation. But relaxation without work is also useless. So there has to be a healthy balance. If that balance is maintained, well, health is going to be there. So thank you for this wonderful session and wish you all the best as many sessions go forward.
Thank you, sir. And we will finish this session with Loka Samasta. And thank you, all the audience. Thank you, Bharataji. Thank you, everyone who joined and making this session meaningful. And whoever will be watching online, thank
It's
you
9
for
o'clock.
watching it. And as the timer also says, like it's 9 o'clock, so we'll finish it off with the Loka Samasta. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu Om Shanti 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 Om. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you Dr.
Thank
Dayanidy
you.
ji. Thank you Bhuvaneshwari. Thank you
Thank you.
Anandraj. Thank you Bharataji and all the audience who has joined. Namaste and pranam. See you sometime later.